Welcome to the Flow is Medicine Healing Practice Lab, a refreshing and powerful way to practice and embody osteopathically inspired self-healing. I'm Dr. Michelle Veneziano. Each week, we join in a guided remote healing experience and then speak to what arises. Good morning, everyone. So I did wake up with something really beautiful and specific to explore today. And I thought, this is so interesting. There are the most beautiful concepts that move outside of the box of our, what you could maybe find a paper in PubMed about. And this is what's real. This thing. I have a sinus thing. I have a challenge with the polarity of some conversation happening in the world, or I have this thing where I'm going to be in obligation, and then some version of saying, oh, holding in neutrality with that. What would the breath of life do with that? I love. And of course, then I just saw the whole energy of the nonviolent communication space. Not so much, of course, the specific teachings, but the beautiful heart energy that teacher Marshall Rosenberg holds in his body. Such generous, unconditional compassion and inclusion. So I'm actually feeling how the frequency of those words hovering in our conversation, shared space, it's just almost like penetrating, softening whatever might be dense and fixed about our attachment to anything. Yeah. I'm remembering Andy Goldman, one of my favorite osteopathic mentors. Basically, it's like, let that go. Let it go. Whoa, drop it. That's interesting. That's beautiful. You're pissed. Great. Drop it. Next. Drop it. What do you feel? Great. Drop it. Sense of the void. Tickling in from the outside. Not a small thing. We're asking of ourselves and one another. So I felt every cell in my body in that moment, whether it be from the words or from what's happening now as we collectively breathe, this first sense of every cell participating and coupling in this receiving, opening to, experiencing. A fullness of the breath in the subtle body and the physical body, coupling of the primary breath and the secondary breath, slight little bit of kicking and screaming at the edges. The way you might say a human might have a little tantrum about being in a body at all. Some residue of that business we sensitive people bump up against now and again. And then a whole bunch of vital energy trickling down, almost the perfect opening to our going into our topic. this idea that the breath may be intensely slight and still provide more, or the breath intensely slight provides more. Such a flippin' beautiful guidance I have received experientially and seeping through, almost like penetrating my consciousness. This is for healing backs and sinus stuff. So here it is. I'm going to try to name it. This sense, right in this moment, in your body, in my sense of the collective journey that we're on together right now. The sense that is every cell open to participate in unison to this collective breath, with primary and secondary respiration expressed as one, that we need not physically breathe so much, because every cell in the body is expanding and almost in a sense of a vacuum within each, that not only the oxygen but the vital energy be coming through and pulled in at the cellular level without the lungs or the diaphragm being the primary driver. The cells themselves pulling in the energy, the oxygen, the nutrients, the moisture, and the expanded consciousness of something larger than our human perception of health, not health, arriving as an awareness of the possibility that something larger is true. Might something larger be true? And as my body takes in the consciousness, I'm holding less physically now into more physical. I feel a resistance. I feel bumping up against heart space, holding sadness, some grief. Didn't know I was holding that. Grateful for touching into. And in your own body, where might you be holding, not breathing, not receiving, that you didn't see before? Something right now, something. Where might you find a sense of sleepy stall, some sense of this breath, this collective energy we're sharing that might have the capacity to bring, to reveal some next layer of awareness to something we didn't see or feel in ourselves. There's always a next. What can I let go of now? What can I hold with love and neutrality? Can I be with whatever it is and have it not, let's say, be an effort such that we might attach to it as a problem. Be with, and drop all the story and bring in your childlike wonder and curiosity. And the next amount of compassion your system might be willing to grow into. Or saw Marshall Rosenberg again, as though he's here with us. It's a beautiful sense of almost adoration and such gratitude that someone would feel and receive the gift in him. Loving us like children, like God loves all God's source loves so completely, unconditionally. And for me, a progressive moving of the light emerging, that we're beginning to receive shift. It's a little bit hot. It's like, oh, is it? It's in the subtle layer, in this one way. It's in the physical layer, beginning to penetrate bone, beginning to. I feel the enamel of my teeth. Is that something that can be penetrated? So it's stone, the enamel is. It's the densest tissue in the body, connective tissue. Just being with. So I actually can't name in words this experience, and holding space for us all, arriving in what feels like somewhere new. But specific in some ways, like toward the landing of a experience of healing of any kind, including being with a patient on a table, or being on our meditation cushion, or being in any of those moments where out of the blue something large arises and we shift and have an awakening of some kind, touching into something new that just defies a description from the mind or a knowing of any kind, much broader than we know. In this moment, that which is much broader than we know. So I feel all these layers of presence of beyond our world beings here with us. And beautiful, deep, effortless healing coming into the human layer, human physical structure. Where does the idea that, let's say potency, let's call it energy that we might actually run our bodies on in terms of having enough vitality to climb a mountain. This idea that that energy comes from oxygen coming into our mitochondria, creating a combustion and reaction with the glucose and literally producing these little energy packets. That's wonderful. That's one channel of energy, where energy comes from. Just pausing to feel what's happening collectively in the naming of that. So the frequency of the energy that comes from our mitochondria and our ATP. And then almost like seeing yin and yang, masculine and feminine. The other fuel source that comes through our cells opening to receive this potency from the field, and from our higher self opening to hold, receive something larger than the amount that may make sense to our mind. I want to concretize this with a specific example. And before moving into the story, just inviting you now to put 1 or 2 more % of your attention onto the nature of the drinking, the breathing, the expanding, expressed like a song by each cell in your body. I just saw a touch of mind space, and that cellular breath can pause just a little bit or not. Okay, and I just felt this beautiful sense of dropping it. This is resting in this beautiful, effortless simplicity and space. Nothing to do, nothing to do. So I was sitting on my porch with something to do. I was doing Wim Hof with a Wim Hof teacher. Someone who masters all these masculine ways of building health in the body, and he's quite spiritual as well. And this character has managed to rest in a heart rate variability over 100 every day, even when he has sinus infections, which is often, and quite significant structural stuff and even brain stuff on the heels of a pretty dramatic car accident. Yeah. So marvel at how do you do both? In any case, he made his way quite quickly through those physical things. So I'm sitting here on the porch and with my breathing cells right now, right here with you and your breathing cells. Your he can hold his breath for 4 minutes. You know, after the hyperventilation, there's the how long can you not breathe, having hyper-fueled your blood with oxygen. And my not being practiced, I wasn't doing this daily. I was also able to hold my breath for 4 minutes, not breathe for 4 minutes. I would say at about 2 minutes, my physiology, there was a little, like, very uncomfortable sense of air hunger that came in. Like I ran out of oxygen. And then I touched this thing where this consciousness I feel hovering in our shared space in this moment, where I can tap my fuel from the subtle layer. I can open to receive electricity from this larger source that we don't name or talk about. And in the moment that I touched it like a memory, and I remembered what feels true. I rested and hovered in this, almost a sense of void. And I felt like, almost, I do sense it in this moment, like I could do this. I could sit. I could breathe. I could feel. I could connect. I could receive limitlessly in this moment, effortlessly in this moment, and in all moments. It's an idea. So what's the color of that idea? What's the texture of that idea, concept, thought, possibility? Right there. So it's dissolved. I touched it and I saw it, and then I felt it almost go into my body and disappear. And this beautiful sense of ease and knowing, new sense of ease and knowing, levity, gratitude, stillness, arriving. So for me, there's a palpable hum that is unique right now. It's stronger. It feels like it's tapping on my heart. Like, oh. It's almost like I noticed a sense of, oh, there's grief and sadness. I'm not aware of it, and some part of me knowing, some part of this now saying, oh, so we can sort of gradually soften and reveal and metabolize some of those even more hidden, layers. And then a sense of almost a specificity of this particular resonance state. It's stronger and more solid, and it's like, some receptivity and intention to allowing of whatever it has to bring you in the highest good without attachment to what that looks like as almost a gift, a present, an offering to your soul. It's a very big thing to say, and it feels very holy, very holy. And here we are in a gift giving and receiving time. Very sacred. Sacred perhaps not because of what the calendar says, but of what we hold in our value in our hearts now. I'm sure the ancients would have all sorts of things to say about what is relevant about now, regardless of denomination. Relevant, that's not the word. What is magical about now? So the practice of in this week, and I'm saying this to almost like our subconscious layer, though there's nothing to do other than almost like a nod or a recognition of that which feels welcome and wanted by your body, by your consciousness. So a zero obligation space. No attachment, no story, no judgment, no. Some Andy Goldman, Dr. Goldman's, I saw him again in this moment. Let it go. Even more space for holding that which we are growing into being able, open to receive. For information on our trainings, which are open to everyone and offer continuing education credits to providers of all kinds, message us here or visit our courses page on the web at flowismedicine.com. And be sure to follow us on social media.